Messi flying forward. Leo Messi! United. Rafael Guerrero with the cross from Ronaldo.
Ikpeme has been appointed Interim General Secretary of the Nigeria Football Federation, the NFF. Interestingly, Danny Welbeck scored on his Chelsea debut as Xabi Alonso's first competitive game at Stamford Bridge as Blues manager ended in a 2-0 win over League One side Luton Town in the Carabao Cup second round. And last season's European finalist Arsenal will play Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in this year's Champions League phase. UEFA released a new set of regulations ahead of the opening Champions League, Europa League and Conference League seasons. And the organizers of the Ballon d'Or have released a comprehensive list of nominees with the draw of the league phase of the UEFA Champions League conducted on Thursday evening. On that note, I say welcome to Sports 360 right here on CEMTV Television. I'm that name, you know, the voice you trust, and that mayor you probably need. They call me Rex Patrick the Locker, that's homeboy that's never at home. I look around 247-365. I'm your host and guide. Let's start off with tennis, where Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic are on for a US Open collision course following Thursday's draw in New York, while Britain's Arthur Ferry has been handed a nightmare opening round clash against Italian 13th seed Lorenzo Musetti. Defending champion Alcaraz will open his campaign against Roman Safiullin with a potential semi-final meeting with history-chasing Novak Djokovic. It will be the Spaniard's first appearance since recovering from a right wrist injury sustained in April. Djokovic, chasing an elusive 25th Grand Slam title, will face against Argentina's world number 48, Mariano Navone, in the first round, with the winner to face Matteo Berrettini or Stan Wawrinka, who is playing in his final Grand Slam before retiring. Wimbledon semi-finalist Ferry missed out on a US Open seeding and has paid the price with a daunting first-round meeting against last year's quarter-finalist Musetti. World number 33 Cameron Norrie, who reached the semi-finals back in Los Cabos and fourth round in Montreal. In the build-up to the year's final major, takes on a player ranked seven places below him in 22-year-old Belgian-born French player, that's Luca Van Aert. British number 3, Jan Chionski, takes on Dutch man Botic van de Zandschulp, ranked number 71 in the world. And so the guys are all looking forward to this very event, and so are we. From there, let's move on to football, where on the home front, Emmanuel Ikpeme has been appointed Interim Secretary General of the Nigeria Football Federation, the NFF. The Nigeria Sports Commission, NSC, endorsed the appointment of Ikpeme, who until now served as Deputy General Secretary of the NFF following the resignation of key officials of the Federation on Thursday. Similarly, Ademola Olajire, previously the NFF's Director of Media and Communications, has also been appointed Interim Deputy General Secretary. Recall that NFF President Ibrahim Musa Gusau, the General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi, and members of the Executive Committee resigned from their posts on Thursday. From there now, let's move on to another story. As we tell you that Super Falcons midfielder Chrissy Ucheibe has joined Saudi Women's Premier League side, that's Al Hilal. The versatile midfielder signed a 2-year contract with the Blue Waves Ucheibe joined her international teammate Asisa Oshoala at the Riyadh-based club. The 25-year-old previously played for Portuguese champions SL Benfica. The former Nasarawa Amazon star was on the books of Benfica for 6 years, winning multiple domestic titles. Benfica announced her departure from the club in June. On the international scene, Ucheibe was part of the Super Falcons' 2024 Women's Africa Cup of Nations winning squad. Yeah, she was part of that very side and gave a good account of herself. Now, let's move on to the UEFA Europa Conference League playoff, where the Seagulls, Brighton and Hove Albion produced another stunning first half display to blow away Tromsø on book their place in the league phase draw of the Conference League with a 4-0 win at the American Express Stadium. The Seagulls were 4-0 up against Aston Villa at the break on Sunday in the Premier League and bagged 3 more goals by the interval against their Norwegian visitors right there at Villa Park to put themselves on course for a place in today's draw. Olivier Boscagli then ensured it was back-to-back 4-0 wins with a late deflected drive. Brighton were superb from the first whistle, overwhelming Tromsø, who had held them to a goalless draw in the Arctic Circle last week, with Charalampos Kostulas, Maxim de Cooper, and Matt Vefa on target in the first 45, which could easily have brought more goals. The second half, as soon as as we saw on Sunday, saw Brighton struggle to add to their tally, but continue to possess the game for the most part. Kostulas will be kicking himself not to have backed many more goals on night of tomorrow's chances. Of course, chances continually came his way, but Boscagli eventually got himself on the score sheet after he had earlier been denied by the offside flag. Fabian Hosela's side have made a stormy start to this season's campaign and can now look forward to the Conference League draw and then Sunday's trip to Stamford Bridge to face West London, I was talking about Chelsea. Now, let's tell you that in the Carabao Cup last night, Rodrigo Munoz was finally all smiles again as he ended a year-long goal drought to help earn Alvaro Arbeloa his first win and see the Cottagers Fulham breeze past AFC Wimbledon 3-0 in the Carabao Cup. Because the Brazilian netted his first goal since August 16, 2025 with a fine header back across goal from Kenny Tete's cross after Emil Smith-Rowe had nodded the Cottagers in front to all but secure a third-round trip to the Hammers, West Ham United, even before halftime. Wimbledon had held strong for the opening half, of course, at Craven Cottage in the first ever meeting between the two London sides, but never recovered from falling behind. Fulham created a succession of chances to add to their lead after the break, with halftime debutant Macaulay Zeppa, a live wire on the right flank, and unfortunate not to mark his first appearance with a goal. The youngster did at least get an assist in added time, freeing big money summer signing Gonzalo Garcia to race past Dan Sweeney and ride a challenge from goalkeeper Nathan Bishop before calmly slotting home his second goal in as many games. Elsewhere, Danny Welbeck scored on his Chelsea debut as Xabi Alonso's first competitive game at Stamford Bridge as Blues manager ended in a 2-0 win over League One side Luton Town in the Carabao Cup second round. With transfer news about Enzo Fernandez and Emiliano Martinez swelling through the air at Stamford Bridge before kickoff, Welbeck's 50th minute header was just enough to open his Chelsea account. It showed that not all signings have to be high profile. Alonso actually named a strong Chelsea squad for this one, with Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers and Reece James all starting in a bid to take the game seriously. They dominated the first half, but Palmer and Estavo missed good chances before Rogers hit the bar with the last kick of that very game. But Welbeck broke Luton's resistance with a bullet header from Malo Gusto to open his Chelsea account in his 19th, season playing in England's top league. His achievements are so impressive, but that is worth remembering that he and Luton head coach Jack Wilshere were once Arsenal teammates. But it was someone 16 years Welbeck's Junior who sealed the result as Estavo silkily run and finished the ended the contest with 10 minutes to go, though it would go down as a Hakem Odofin own goal. The result sees Chelsea book a Carabao Cup third round tie against Leeds United in early September, while Wilshire's Luton lost for the first time in 16 matches in all competitions, which was the longest run of England's top four leagues. So, you guys, now let's, for now, quickly step on the brakes. We'll return after this timeout. Of course, when we do so, we'll look at the draws on last night, the UEFA Champions League draws. Of course, going into the 2026-2027 campaign. It's still Sports 360 right here on CEMTV. Stay here. What's going on now? Welcome back to Sports 360 right here on SEM Television. I'm still Danny Mino, the voice you trust, and that media you probably need. They call me Rex Patrick the Locker, that's homeboy that's never at home. I look around 247-365. I'm your host and guide. Now let's head straight to the draws. We saw last night, UEFA Champions League draw. Of course, last season's European finalists Arsenal will play Real Madrid and Bayern Munich in this year's Champions League phase. The Premier League champions will also face Borussia Dortmund and Napoli in their bid to finish in the top 8 automatic places, having topped qualifying with a perfect record last term. Meanwhile, both Manchester City and Aston Villa will host holders Paris Saint-Germain. The Villa Park fixture will be a repeat of the recent Super Cup, which Paris Saint-Germain won by 2-1 in Salzburg. Among Liverpool's fixtures is a trip to Inter Milan and another tie against Atletico de Madrid, with Manchester United also scheduled to face Diego Simeone's side. Now, Premier League clubs have got, some tricky fixtures. Let's look at Premier League clubs' league phase opponent in full. Arsenal would play Real Madrid at home, Bayern Munich away, Borussia Dortmund at home, Real Betis away, Lille Metropole at home, the Partenopane Napoli away from home, Saba at home, Slavia Praha away from home. Aston Villa will lock horns with La Blaugrana FC Barcelona away from home. Paris Saint-Germain will play, Aston Villa as well. So Villa will play PSG at home. They play at home to Borussia Dortmund as well, and that's the Westfalen Stadion side, and would visit Club Brugge. Meanwhile, that would be seen away from home. Fenerbahce would play away to Aston Villa, and Villa would face Galatasaray away from home. They also got Viking to worry about at home, and Slavia Praha, away from home. Merseyside, Liverpool will lock horns with Nerazzurri, and that's Internazionale Milano away from home. Atletico de Madrid will, lock hands with Liverpool, and that will be away from home. Liverpool playing host to Atletico at Anfield, and the Reds will face FC Porto at home. They play Club Brugge away from home and have got the Yellow Submarines Villarreal to worry about at Anfield. Fenerbahce away from home, Lens at home, and Lask Linz away from home. For the citizens of Manchester, they got Paris Saint-Germain at home, La Blaugrana FC Barcelona away from home, Sporting CP at home, FC Porto away from home, the Partenopane Napoli at home, RB Leipzig away from home, AK Athens at home, and Lens away from home. And for the Red Devils, Manchester United, they play Atletico de Madrid away from home, right there at Estadio de Wanda Metropolitano. And then they face the Bavarians Bayern Munchen at home, Giallorossi, AS Roma, and that's at home. Yeah, Old Trafford. And then they got Sporting Lisbon away from home. RB Leipzig at home. Yeah, Old Trafford, the ground for that one. The Yellow Submarines, Villarreal, away from home at Estadio de la Ceramica. And then they got Saba at home. Meanwhile, they play Como, is led by Frances Fabregas, away from home. So Como making a debut. Looking forward to that one. So the first round of games were played September 8th to the 10th, with the first 6 rounds taking place through to December. The league phase resumes in January with the 8th and final round on January the 27th. The top 8 teams in the final standings go direct to the round of 16 in March. Teams placed 9th to 24th enter the knockout playoffs in February to decide the other 8 teams in the round of 16. Teams placed 25th to 36th are eliminated. Exact fixture dates, time, and match schedule will be announced on Saturday. We'll bring you up to speed with that. But then, 4 newcomers will debut in this season's UEFA Champions League. Como from Italy, led by Frances Fabregas, Lask Linz of Austria, Viking of Norway, and Azerbaijani champion Saba, who were only found in 2017. Isn't that interesting? Another first, this season is an African coach leading a team into the main draw of the UEFA Champions League. And that's former Manchester City midfielder Dure Yaya, guiding Slovakian side, that's their champions, Slovakian champions, Slovan Bratislava, through their qualifying playoffs on Wednesday. So it's quite intriguing, I tell you. Let's look at the league phase dates in full. Match day 1, September 8th to the 10th. Match day 2, October 13th to 14th. Match day 3, October 20 to 21. And match day 4, November 3rd and 4th. Yeah, match day 5, November 24th to 25, and March day 6, December 8 to 9, March day 7, January 19 to 20th, and March day 8, January 27. Knockout phase dates. Now, for knockout phase playoffs, February 16 and 17, and of course 23rd and 24th, and then round of 16, March 9 to 10, and 16th and 17th of March 2027. Quarterfinals, April 6 and 7, and 13th and 14th. And semi-finals, April 27 and 28, and May 4th and 5th. Final, June 5th, 2027, at Estadio de Wanda Metropolitano, the home ground of Atletico de Madrid. Yeah, the capital city of Madrid, of course, Spanish capital right there. We're looking forward to what the campaign has got, looking forward to the debutants and what they got in store going into the season proper. Now, let's tell you that UEFA has released a new set of regulations ahead of the upcoming UEFA Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League seasons. The regulations stipulate that players are prohibited from handling the ball within the penalty area following a goal kick. Any such handling will now result in a penalty being awarded, irrespective of players' intention to play the ball. Roberto Rossetti, UEFA's head of refereeing, disclosed this on Thursday during the UEFA Champions League draw held in Monaco, France. Rossetti provided the clarification while outlining the refereeing updates for the season, linking it directly to last season's dispute involving FC Barcelona and Atletico de Madrid in the UEFA Champions League. In that incident, Atletico defender Marc Pobel handled the ball to position it on the field before passing it with his foot, despite goalkeeper Owan Musso having already taken the goal kick. He also elaborated on UEFA's new directive regarding the video assistant referee VAR, emphasizing that referees must make independent decisions on the field and cautioning against using VAR to reassess every incident. He stated, and I quote, "We want them to be resolute. The video assistant referee is a significant initiative, but we expect the referees on the field to make the calls. We do not want the video assistant referee to reassess decisions, nor do we want referees to rely on its input We seek clearer evidence and obvious mistakes that warrant video assistant referee intervention. We do not favor minute situations. The comprehensive set of law, updates has already been communicated to players, coaches, and clubs. UEFA's objective is to standardize refereeing standards across its competitions, both on and off the field, and enhance consistency in decision making. Additionally, the new regulations address time wasting during substitutions. A player who takes more than 10 seconds to leave the pitch may face penalties, along with new clarifications regarding injury situations and the resumption of play following goals. It's interesting to have this coming up at this point in time. All right, so now I don't know what the season has got in store, but then, you guys, it promises to be exciting. Now let's look at Ballon d'Or, because the organizers of the Ballon d'Or have released a comprehensive list of nominees with the draw of the league phase of the Champions League conducted on Thursday evening. This year's competition will feature two previous winners of the award, Ousmane Dembele of Paris Saint-Germain and Rodrigo Hernandez Cascante, formerly of Manchester City, now with FC Barcelona. Below, let's look at the composition of the four pods and the list of Ballon d'Or nominees who will be representing each of the clubs. Pot 1, Paris Saint-Germain, and that's from France. They got Ousmane Dembele, nomination 1, 2025 winner of the Ballon d'Or. Is the current holder of the award. Kivita Kvaratskhelia, Paris Saint-Germain, number 2, nomination 2. So Vitinha is right there, 2, as well. Marquinhos. We got Fabian Ruiz, Nuno Mendes, Achraf Hakimi, Desiree Doué, and João Neves. Bayern Munich, Germany. I've got Harry Kane, 7 nominations. Manuel Neuer, 4. Joshua Kimmich, 1. Luis Diaz, 1. Kim Min-jae, 1. Jamal Musiala, 1. Michael Olise, 1. And then Real Madrid of Spain, I've got Kylian Mbappe with 8 nominations. Bernardo Silva, 4. Vinicius Junior, 4. Jude Bellingham, 3 nominations. Thibaut Courtois, 2. Trent Alexander-Arnold, 2. Antonio Rudiger, 2. Denzel Dumfries, 1. Federico Valverde. Manchester City of England have got Erling Braut Haaland, 5 nominations. Phil Foden, 3. Ruben Dias, 3. Gianluigi Donnarumma, 2. Josko Vradiel, 1. Atletico de Madrid of Spain have got Jan Oblak, 2 nominations. Julian Alvarez, 1. Ademola Lookman, 1. Alejandro Grimaldo, 1. Liverpool of England have got Virgil van Dijk, 3 nominations. Ferdinand Vets, 2. Alisson Becker, 1. Alexis McAllister, 1. FC Barcelona of Spain have got Rodrigo Hernandez Cascante, 4 nominations. 2024 Ballon d'Or winner of course, they also got Lamine Yamal, 2 nominations. Pedri, 2. Frankie de Jong, 1. Dani Olmo, 1. Rafinha, 1. João Cancelo, 1. Arsenal of England have got Martin Odegaard, 2 nominations. Declan Rice, 2. Bukayo Saka, 2. William Saliba, 1. Victor Gyökeres, 1. Nerazzurri, that's Internazionale Milano of Italy, I've got Lautaro Martinez, 4 nominations. Nicolo Barella, 2 nominations. Hakan Çalhanoğlu, 1. Now, let's look at pot 2. So Borussia Dortmund of Germany have got Serhou Guirassy, 1 nomination. Manchester United of England, I've got Matthias de Ligt, 1 nomination. Bruno Fernandes, 1 nomination. Mason Mount, 1 nomination. Aston Villa of England, I've got Emiliano Martinez, 2 nominations. So, and Giallo Rossi, AS Roma of Italy, I've got Paulo Dybala, 2 nominations. And then Real Betis of Spain, I've got Isco Alacon, 2 nominations. Sporting Lisbon of Portugal, I've got no nominees in their squad. FC Porto of Portugal, no nominees as well in their squad. Club Brugge of Belgium have got no nominees in their squad. PSV Eindhoven of Netherlands have got no nominees in their squad, the UEFA Champions League squad this very season. Now let's look at pot 3, where Of course, just so you know, the Partenopei Napoli of Italy have got Kevin De Bruyne with 8 nominations. Scott McTominay, 1 nomination. Galatasaray of Italy have got Victor Osimhen, 1 nomination. Fenerbahce of Turkey have got N'Golo Kante, 3 nominations. Romelu Lukaku, 1 nomination. The Yellow Submarines, that's Villarreal of Spain, have got Gerard Moreno, 1 nomination. Of course, he was previously nominated back in 2021. And then Feyenoord of Netherlands have got no nominees in their squad. Lille Metropole of France, no nominees in their squad. Bodo Glimt of Norway have got no nominees in its squad. RB Leipzig of Germany, no nominees in its squad. Shakhtar Donetsk of Ukraine, no nominees in its squad. Now, in pot 4, Slavia Praha of Czech Republic has got no nominees in its squad. Intriguing, yeah? So Slovan Bratislava of Slovakia, no nominees in its squad. Stuttgart of Germany, no nominees in its squad. AEK Athens of Greece has no nominated players in its squad. Lask Linz of Austria has no nominated players in its squad. Como of Italy has no nominated players in its squad. So RC Lens of France also no nominated players in the squad. And Vikings of Norway, no nominated players in its squad. Yeah, so interesting. Sabah FK of Azerbaijan, debutants in the UEFA Champions League, a team created back in 2017. Yeah, so no nominated players in its squad as well, going into the Ballon d'Or awards. Interesting times, I tell you guys, for what it's worth. Now, let's look at some transfer stories. As we tell you that West Londoners Chelsea are prepared to sell Enzo Fernandez to Manchester City for the right price and if they can improve their squad before the window closes. They are not believed to have been any club-to-club talks between City and Chelsea yet, but Fernandez was left out of Thursday night's Carabao Cup win over the Hatters, Luton Town. Chelsea manager Xabi Alonso said after the game that Fernandez is a good professional who has been training really well, and a decision on whether he'll be available for Sunday's clash with the Seagulls, Brighton and Hove Albion, will be taken nearer the time. Manchester City's interest continues despite missing Chelsea's August 14th deadline to bid for Fernandez. Chelsea had agreed with Fernandez's representatives he could be sold for £120 million by that deadline, but an offer never arrived. Yeah, as at August the 14th. Yeah, Alonso also said ahead of the Luton game, they are prepared for whatever happens with any player who could leave before the deadline. Among the players Chelsea are considering to bring in midfielder Bournemouth's Alex Scott and Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton. Both clubs consider those players unsellable, however. City also have Scott as a midfield target as well as Roma's Manu Kone. Reinforcing central midfield has become an ever bigger priority for City following Rodri's departure to FC Barcelona earlier this month. Nico Gonzalez has also left to join the Magpies Newcastle United in a deal worth up to £50 million. City this week completed the signing of Ayo Boadi from Lille Metropole, with the midfielder moving to Etihad Stadium for £86 million. Yeah, £86 million in a world record deal for a teenager. England international Elliot Anderson joined City in a £160 million deal from the Tricky Trees, Nottingham Forest, last month. In another development, the Blues, Chelsea, have agreed a deal worth £7.5 million with the Lions, Aston Villa, to sign Emiliano Martinez. CEMTV Sports reported that Chelsea were considering a late move for Martinez after current number 1 Robert Sanchez came under criticism after his error in Monday's win at Fulham. Martinez has needed to find a new club after Villa signed Zion Suzuki from Parma for nearly £30 million. He was a subject of interest from Bianconeri, talking about Juventus, but they chose to sign Guglielmo Vicario from Tottenham Hotspur. Question marks will now be raised over whether both Sanchez and Mike Penders will remain at Stamford Bridge for the season. Penders started Chelsea's Carabao Cup tie with the Hearts of Luton Town on Thursday night after Sanchez started against the Cottagers, talking about Fulham, in the Premier League opener on Monday Night Football. It is debatable whether Chelsea need 3 number ones as they are not in Europe, and Penders has just returned from his loan at Strasbourg. Sanchez was expected to be number one again this season, but his performances have not always been convincing. This deal for 33-year-old Martinez comes despite denials that Chelsea have been in the market for an experienced goalkeeper. The Blues came close to signing Mike Maignan from Rossoneri, and that's Associazione Calcio Milan, last summer, but could not agree a fee. Interesting one, I tell you. Emiliano Martinez moving to Chelsea. Really, really interesting for the most part. Anyways, we can't go for the guys. Sadly, this is where we get to put a pin. Been a great time with you out there. And hey, you guys, you are the real MVP. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Yeah, on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, at CEMTV Plus. And that's at CEMTV Plus. All right, that's how you get through to us to bring you up to speed and, ensure we serve you some really interesting content. All right, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, hit the like button when you see the post, and drop your comments, and we'll gladly appreciate that. Would keep you and consistently bring you up to speed with interesting stories making the rounds. I remember that name, the voice you trust, and that mayor you probably need. They call me Rex Patrick the Locker, that homeboy that's never at home. They say home is where your heart lies. This is home for me, so I look around 247 365. Close your door before you bath. Make person no see you finish. For now, it's a wrap.